All right, there we go. Sound is up. Looking at EVE Online Live, coming to you from Quarious. I'm here with Scully, and we'll both be talking to you a little bit about what's going on. We just heard an announcement earlier, approximately 20 minutes ago. The from Pro God Legend, FC for Test, and Billy, also Fleet Commander for Test, kind of campaign commanders for the PAPI forces. Their message was that this was the beginning of the actual invasion, that everything up to now has been a lot of positioning and prep work. This is what would be called Phase 3 by Villy. And this move op that we're looking at is everything moving from catch into forward operating base in probably PTAC Z. But right now, it looks like they're moving into 49 TAC.
Yeah, so to save a long trip of 15 jumps for the Supers and Titans that didn't move with the initial one, we decided, leadership decided that it's best to just go straight through the Stargate. So that's what these fleets are here for, is protecting this Stargate whilst there are on the other side of it in catch. There are currently 1,200 pilots waiting to take the Stargate.
Now, we don't expect there to be too much interference. However, we have heard reports that there are Imperium bombers in the area, and not just a couple fleets, but a ton of them, hundreds.
Yeah.
What did you hear about that?
So we had a brawl this morning with Imperium. Some of their Titans were dropped to lance some fleets in Delve. Sorry, not in Delve. It was in Delve, just on the edge of it. We had a couple of Ferox fleets in there that got lanced by a group of Titans. So we attempted to tackle them and form up our own dread bomb. At the time when Legacy and PAPI stood down, we had 560 dreadnoughts ready to drop. However, the Imperium, with their mass pinging as well, had 2 full fleets in system with the 50 Titans and 50 Titans and 50 Supers there. They had a further 600 Super Capitals ready to drop in. So it was kind of decided at that point not to go for that engage. When we saw from up this, there was a stream from God Legends, and they saw the initial movement of thousands of pilots and capitals moving into 4 TAC 0, and thus they have a 500 rough reports of around 500 dreadnoughts ready to drop.
I must be confused because I thought it were bombers, but it's dread bomb. It's
yes,
dreadnoughts. That's totally different. Okay.
Yeah. So question from chat was Pink Fat. Why do you have to place the 11 keep stars? Couldn't use the region gate before. The problem with this region gate was we couldn't jump from one side to the other, so we'd have to come through the Stargate. Whereas Goon Swarm were able to jump from their own space to here. So the 14 keep star chain that went around allowed us to get a keep star anchored in Quarious, of which is in jump range of here, which is why you're seeing big flashes of red disappear, because they are Supers and Titans coming through, jumping out to the new staging in PZ.
Try to get a graphic up so you can actually visualize how much time they're saving. I think there must have been at least eight or maybe 10 keep star jumps that they would have to do. So in other words, they'd have to go a long way to get to this one system. But
Check
since
your Discord, I have just sent you the keep star route. That would have been the way around.
Okay, thanks. I'll bring that up in just a second.
So you'll see some regular activity going on here. There isn't a mass jump of large ships coming through this gate, just because the bigger the amount that come through, the juicier the dread bomb would look. So we are taking small handfuls of capitals through, a few Titans, a few Supers at a time.
And here we're looking at a map, and you can see that FAT 32 down here at the bottom. Sorry, FAT tax 6P. I don't know where I said 32. Pretty far away.
That's where we started the Keepstar chain up to low sec, and now we jumped from FAT to 4-0, which is the other side of that long line, and then we're jumping through that gate and then jumping up to BC.
So jumping from, this is the old base. They're moving through here, through this long bridge to this area here. That system that they're landing in is right here. And that's what we're looking at. We're looking at that gate. And then from here, they will jump to here, to PTAC Z, where they will reside for the next month or so, or 2 months. But that's going to be the headquarters for the campaign. Again, moving from FAT up through Catch here, across this long bridge, over to 49 Tech U, which is the system we're looking at, and then they will jump to dock up over here a few jumps away in Quarious. Now, let's look real quick at that. If we wanted to look at what the jump range is for super capitals, which is really the heaviest weight that this group can put on, and we look at Quarious, they can control from PTAC-Z a pretty good chunk of that entire region. It's not encroaching on Delve necessarily, but they definitely have command of Quarious from that perch. And that's why that's important. Later, when they do, and we expect them to, if things go according to their plans, take over 49 TAC U, once they take out the Keepstar that's actually in there from the Imperium, and put down their own and start using it as a base of operations. And again, this is considering that everything goes well for their battle plans. At that point, from that perch, they can actually drop into Delve at least part of it down here. As you can see, 49 Tech U is within jump range of these systems here. And that we expect that to happen probably in the next month or two. Until then, they're going to be running out of PTAC-Z here. And trying to probably put some weight on Quarious and really finish conquering it. The important parts of Quarious are, I don't know if they're still in play. Do you have any thoughts on that, Sully?
So the big thing with Quarious is Quarious has always been designated as a floodplain. It's a region that's just going to be in the way. There are going to be some objectives they fight over. Most notably, there is the 49 TAC Keepstar. That is going to be a big brawl, I feel, because it will be a Keepstar that both groups will have capitals and dreads in range. And subsequently, the other strategic objectives that will go along, Satios, faction Fortizars, there may be brawls and defense, there may not. iHubs, we saw the other day that there was a interrupting fleet, so there was interceptors with burst jammers to try and slow progress and just be a nuisance, which was done very effectively because it was very annoying to me. With 5 Intosis ships, it did get annoying when they stopped cycling. Yeah.
Yeah, we can see the entire region here. And this long arm here, I believe it's there's Quarious lighting up. Yeah, I think Billy said in this announcement that they made that Quarious is conquered, and then he quickly amended it with, well, it's not actually completely conquered, but we got the important parts of it. And I think what he was trying to say, by the way, those flashes, those orange flashes, are ships that are now jumping to PTAC-Z once they enter into this system. But what Billy was trying to say was, no, we haven't conquered every little system, but we've conquered the strategic points. that will allow us to take over the rest of Quarious. And I think when this announcement came, which again was about, an hour ago, ProGod and Billy were both basically saying this is the marker of the beginning of the actual invasion. What we've done up until now wasn't the invasion, it was prep work. So you take out Fountain, they did that. They build the supply lines, they've done that for the most part with the Keepstar chain, which is a huge advantage that can't be overstated how important that is. Let's go back and look at that, and I'll tell you why that's important. What you have here, it seems redundant now that you captured this bridge. You don't really need this, long supply line. But what that really does is it takes a lot of danger out of the way of people who need to catch up. When you do these big move ops like today, we're seeing thousands of players move their big ships into position, but not everybody can make today. So there will be people left behind. And what happens normally is those people, with the help of their corp mates, will try to catch up 2 or 3 at a time. And sometimes those will get picked off by wolves, basically. Other groups, third-party groups, or Imperium groups that are sitting in wait for those stragglers, because they're easy targets and they're manageable. When everybody moves together, it's not manageable. That's too many people to fight. But you can get those stragglers. That happens in every fleet. Stragglers get picked off, whether it's a battleship or a cruiser or even super capitals. But what this long bridge or this long chain of Keepstars allows people to do is to catch up on their own time whenever they want, because they literally are jumping from safe point to safe point. And it may take longer, but they will be able to join this effort without much risk at all. And that's a huge plus. Again, we're looking at 49 Tech U now serving as an entry point for PAPI forces. Let's take a look around here. I think I saw some Goon Swarm. They won't necessarily be in this system, but they do have a Keepstar on grid somewhere here. Looks like Fortizar for PAPI is in blue. Imperium is in red. That's not a function of preference. That's a function of Sully. I don't know if Sully's still there, but that was by request. Initiative wanted to be colored red. This is something that Sully did for them. Oh, I think that Sully is actually moving ships because he does belong to the Fire Coalition. And so he is moving his ships, and that's probably why he's off comms now.
Yeah.
Oh, there you are.
We've one of our super pilots is a red timer, so it's trying to organize getting that ship moved safely.
The show challenged this ridiculous statement. Carneros, what ridiculous statement? Let me look it up and see if we can challenge it.
Hi.
Carneros.
The ridiculous statement was that they had conquered Quarious. They have not conquered Quarious. Sorry. They're not in charge of Quarious. Quarious is an open field right now.
Yeah.
Sometimes we win the field. Sometimes they win the field. Depends who executes well. Depends who brings the right mix to the moment. Depends sometimes on particular fortitude. It's going to go back and forth.
Yeah, Quarious
but no one has
the battle
conquered
zone.
anything.
Yeah. So the ridiculous statement then, Carneros, is that Vili said that Quarious is conquered. He did actually back up and say, well, it's not actually conquered, but
yeah.
And did we challenge him on his ridiculous statement?
Well, this
Because
is
we're talking in stations and we're supposed to be neutral.
yeah.
Good.
Well, no,
I'm
because
challenging him now.
okay, exactly.
He does not own this space. He hasn't done the work. You can't just set your intention, take one step in the door, and say, "Okay, I win." Nuh-uh, honey. Sorry.
A good example would be that Fountain was conquered in the fact that the infrastructure was removed. It has now been left to go back to how it was, how it is just going to be, because it's the purpose of that region is done. Quarious is an
Don't be
active war
fooled
zone.
by Fountain either. Fountain, no one is in charge of Fountain right now. No one is. It's just
No.
empty space. There are a few markers up there. There are a couple stragglers here and there. It is not being held and lived in. It's not like Delve. Delve is held and lived in. 49 TAC as a system, 49 TAC U6U, that hasn't been someone's home in a long time. Long before this war started.
No, it was their capital on
It's a
paper.
buffer.
Yeah,
It's a buffer territory.
well.
Yeah.
Do you think the
Not a
49
living
Tech
system.
U, now, Carneros is the leader of Bastion, for those who don't know. He's also part of TIS. So him pushing back on the rhetoric from Billy is completely backed up by talking in stations as a pushback. Do you think that 49 Tech U was a strategic point, strategic system?
Yeah, that's why it is, and 4TAC07 likewise. It's a strategic gate. Neither particular system means that much. It's the gate itself between the two that's the strategic part. And in fact, for a long time, folks have had eyes on this. Folks have forces nearby, etc. This is a strategic place. It's a place where battles happen. It's not a place where people do meaningful wealth building or industry or any of that. But yes. So he hasn't conquered 49 TAC. There's plenty of forces from both sides there, including Keepstars. Even the little fuzzy sov markers at the sorry. I can't remember what the sov system's called again. But even the sov system markers at the top are mixed. One says Imperium, one says Legacy.
Yeah, the Quarious is going to be the next stage in this war, which I think has a lot of people excited, especially given that the Keepstar and Quarious that the attacking force have has been down less than a week, and already we've had some close calls with groups pretty much putting things on the risk, which is going to be good. 2 seconds.
Also, thank you to Aria. It's Aegis Sov. Thank you. I don't know why that word escaped to my head.
So Zope just said to stream, what happens if the Imperium uncall structures and don't get a fight? So the issue of that, Zope, is each structure takes a week to unanchor, and things like Keepstars have to be scooped by a freighter, which is very weak and vulnerable.
It's kind of funny that you say that, though, because I feel like I've been in more fleets where we offered a fight from the Imperium side and didn't get taken.
Yeah,
Like this
so
morning.
yeah, this morning's fight was very interesting, and both sides were ready. So the attackers were ready to drop their dreads. The defenders were ready to drop some super reinforcements. It seems like both sides were willing to commit, but in the attacking force stood down because of there was logistic reasons in that we couldn't get a Sino into the system. The tie-dye for the attackers was 7 jumps, and when it came that the Imperium had more super reinforcement than we had dreads available, the call was made to not go in at this stage in the war.
Well, whoever's FCing a given engagement has to kind of assess the situation, listen to their guts, and make their best judgment on what to do at a given moment. And it's always hard to know if you're not on his or her team to know exactly what data they went through to come up with their choice. And I never like to second guess, anyone else. That particular case, this morning, and there was one last night when we were out also. But I feel like, we're not hiding and turtling up in any way. We're out there trying to do stuff from the Imperium side. And we don't always know whether we're going to get a fight or not. And I'm sure that experience is felt sometimes from the invading side.
Yeah, it's both sides. Ultimately, in Eve, both sides want to fight. It's whether it's worth the risk, because not every fight is a win or lose. The fights are dictated by the actual fighting itself. So both sides do enjoy fighting. It's why we play this game, why we have these big wars. But also that they don't want to lose everything at the same time.
So I just wandered in. I take it they're on another move op of some sort.
Yes, so this stream was brought up because we had Pro God Legends chat to the coalitions, and that's announced the move up. And pretty much up until this point, all sub-capital ships have remained in FAT, and pretty much a dread per pilot isn't been in FAT. Plus a handful of supers and titans as well still remain that didn't choose the long way. So it's pretty much cover this gate, and this weekend everything is to move from FAT into PZ for the next stage of this war. At peak, we had 2,500 pilots online ready fleets in FAT, and 4-0 and 49. At the moment, there is still 950 pilots in 4-0, and we see 900 in 49-. Oh, I do have to call out, there is some credit to be given to some initiative Sabre pilots who were a nuisance to those moving capitals in both 49 and 4-0, because there's been at least a dozen that have ultimately died along the way, but they've been causing bubble and making other interceptors and things run around headless for a little bit, which has been quite funny to watch from a backseat.
Looking at this stream, what do the neutral pilots represent?
So
The
neutral
gray
pilots are
ones.
just ones that I haven't assigned. So I was using one of my cameras just to give an overview of different sides. Let's say initiative are red because when I asked in local if they wanted to be red or blue, they said red.
Okay.
The neutral ones are
doesn't
just
surprise
those.
me.
Yeah. I don't know if they meant standings or if they knew what I meant, but the neutral ones in this are literally just pilots that haven't been assigned. More often than not, the ones that will be around the blues will just be assigned to the blues for the next stream.
Okay.
2 seconds, I need to yell at someone because the PD sign has gone down.
Responding to Charlie in chat, I think sometimes some FCs will only take a fight if they think they are likely to win. I think some FCs will take a fight if they think there is a chance they can win. So it depends how strong the chance, I think, can vary between FCs. Some are very happy to take a 50-50 toss-up. Some, feel like they need to have, even less security than that, and some think they need more. Also depends a little bit, how much do you have on the line? How valuable are the ships? And then sometimes it matters, how secure do you feel in your organization? Are you likely to be castigated for a failure? Or are they likely just to buy you another beer and get some more ships out for you? Move us. I didn't expect to jump on and start chatting today. If you're listening in and you can't hear the stream, this voice is Carneros. I'm the leader of the Bastion, and I'm on the Imperium side on this war, the Defenders. And then, of course, I am one of the team here at Talking in Stations. Although I haven't been on camera and voice a lot lately. Been taking a break. The English voice is Sully. I'm gonna say hi.
Yeah. So I'm Sully. Yeah. I'm a CEO of a corporation in Razor. Not in any FC channels and so that. Just have played E for a very long time, so I have good understanding of different things. And what Connie was saying just before, we had to move channels and things, and I had to figure out why a pilot couldn't jump because he's in the wrong system.
Aha.
These are, I know loads of different FCs that will happily take a fight whether they win or lose. I am one of them, which is why I don't ever FC anything expensive, because I think dying in a laughter and walking down the tail between you. And I know both forces, there's some that will do one and some will do the other. Just muted Mal there because I believe he missed his mute button. So Zope Master just said in chat, he likes the 20v20 fights. They were good fun. They are. I've quite enjoyed the proving ground fights at the moment. They're quite a lot of fun for one of my alts. Because a lot of good skills. They're quite good fun, especially the free falls, because it's very easy to have people go on one person in the free fall. You just have to figure out which one they least likely going to want to fight against. The Oxman asked in chat, so where is PAPI heading? So PAPI are moving from their previous staging in FAT to Quarious staging Keep Star, which is P-Z.
And going back to the 20v20 thing, it's hard to replicate that in wartime in a really large engagements like this. However, one thing you can do is take some groups of your forces and split them off the main fleets and put them in small groups for special purposes. People often do that with groups of bombers here and there, or groups of sabers, or groups of whatever. You'll see sometimes Sneaky Pete's done that way, or Slippery Pete's. That can be a little bit fun. And then you can. It's not everything you're asking for, but it can. Some people enjoy that a lot more than just being in the big 250 man fleets themselves.
Yeah, I quite often do enjoy that. I have a few Saber friends as well, and during some of the bigger fights that in this war, I expect as well, we will have a few Sabers dotted around in places on grid to disrupt enemy movement as more than just bubbling them, making sure they don't leave the grid. A good thing as well is bombers, 10, 15 people in bombers, even if you're not part of this war, you can still pop around and just cause mayhem. There's been some, over history of my memory and recollection of war, there's been some amazing bomb runs done by pilots who are unaffiliated with either side of the war. They just got a few people together and it's like, we're just going to go to this system where there's a fight and just bomb things.
Here we have a question in chat from AJB5803 asking, when Goonswarm sounded the horn of Gundor, did other groups such as Bastion see an increase as well? Yeah, let me tell you about the mechanics of that for a second and then kind of why. The press kind of talked about it as being an email blast. It wasn't actually. It was a forum PM that went to all the forum accounts, and those that have alerts set up to go to their personal email then received a personal email with the contents in that thing. Well, in our coalition, the forum accounts goes pretty much across the whole group. So all Bastion members, when they sign up for coalition comms and also for Bastion comms. So they have two forum accounts, one for coalition and one for Bastion. So all the past Bastion members received a forum notification like that too. Some of them, of course, are in other groups now far away, but many of them that have, had stopped playing the game, received it, came back and joined the Bastion, and came back and said, hey, what do I have to do? Here's where I am. Where do I move my caps? That kind of thing. Some of them came back and their corporation was gone now, so I had to find them a new home. Okay, what's your best time zone? What languages do you speak? Okay, let me introduce you to these guys over here. We did a bunch of that stuff this past week. Some of them came back and their corp was gone and they just joined Karma Fleet. And that's fine too.
Yeah,
we're all one family.
Yeah, I personally did also get one of those mails because I was previously in an alliance that was within the CFC a few years ago, and same thing. I know of people that have come back because of the Horn of Gundor. I know people that have come back and have disliked it, and so thus joined the test corporation. But it was a very good thing because it also enabled people who still had that Eve feeling, but didn't have a real reason to come back and didn't know and keep up to date with Eve news. It gives them a good reason of, hey, look, this is going on. It could be a lot of fun.
So those streaks that you're seeing of orange light are people coming into this system through a gate and then bridging to their final destination. And that's what those are.
As a former CCP employee, I have to say I'm very happy when I see people coming back to the game and reactivating their account like that. And it's funny because from time to time, most MMO game companies will do a reactivation campaign and send out an email blast to former players and try to encourage them to come back. And they have to pay for that. But in this case, Goonswarm did it for them for free. So, that's the marketing department is probably quietly toasting them with their champagne this weekend.
Yeah, it's any increase in activity in this game of this age is always good. And yeah, like Conor said, it was free publicity of the best kind, which is stuff's happening in this game, which could be fun. Come on back.
So as a recap, what you're seeing is a move operation. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,000, 3,000 players are moving ships or accounts are moving. And this is the bridging. This is basically the beginning of Quarious for people who are coming from the Catch region. So PAPI forces are moving into this system, and then from here they will jump to their final destination, which is also in Quarious PTAC Z, where there's a keep star, and they will dock there. These gates are being protected by PAPI forces, which are seen in blue. those orange balls of light that you see streak off into the distance are ships that are jumping to final destination.
A little known fact is that the direction that the streak goes is literally the direction in space to that next system, to where they just jumped to.
Yeah, that's amazing. They can line it up that way. We just saw there was 2 fleets sitting around that gate. You just saw 1 fleet fly away. That's why that group of blue ships moved off into the distance.
Yeah. A large number of our capitals and super capitals and titans have successfully made it through this Stargate. There are some stragglers around, which is why there are still some fleets here. But over where they warp to on the Forzar, there is some titans ready to bridge those fleets to PZ, because some pilots here do not have capitals or the ability for capitals to move their ships. So they're just going to get a titan bridge from 49 Dash.
If I can insert a little bit of humor for a moment, even though I probably shouldn't, shout out to the guy from AMOC who's running around posting, setting up mobile depots in camera view to make a statement that AMOC is recruiting. I find that humorous.
Did we clear up what you wanted to clear up there, Carneros?
Oh yeah. Don't believe everything that an alliance leader or a coalition leader says up on stage, on camera, in a big meeting to rev up his troops. That's not meant to be taken as literal scientific fact. It's fluff. And a statement and a show like ours should challenge such fluff as the opportunity arises, regardless from who says it. It could be Hilmar, and we would still have to challenge him.
Fluff comes from all sides. Fluff or spin, as it's referred to at the moment in the attacking forces, because it's just the nature of the game. If you don't hype up your troops, then your morale would always be kind of at a mediocre level / low. So you have to kind of hype them up, make it out to be this massive thing. And I say both sides are guilty of it. I definitely know the attacking side is at times, and from when I was in the Imperium many years ago, the same thing there. So the good thing is just being able to see footage, and we can see that Titan there has just bridged that fleet out to PZ. These are just to get there. I'd imagine the Keepstar attack will be planned by the attacking force leadership at some point.
That sounded one-sided. There's more than one Keepstar and more than one side and more than one set.
All right. Well, we can just be specific. What Keepstar are you talking about?
The 49 TAC Keepstar is what I'm referring to.
No. There's more than one 49 TAC Keepstar on various sides, sir.
What other Keepstars are there? 49 Tech U. There's one Keepstar in there. I believe it belongs to Goon Swarm. Are there other ones?
Aren't there 2? I thought there was one. Oh. Shoot. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not
my
one
mistake.
It's not one DQ.
I guess you just have a 49 on the other side.
I believe there used to be 2 a long time ago, but I believe one did get an anchor and moved, but I'm not sure where.
Okay, my mistake.
Yeah.
I'm not currently in the system.
Yeah, so the progression is that probably they'll put down an iHub, which actually they already did. This is PAPI forces, and they will wait for ADM levels to get to 3, and that allows them to Sino jam the system, which means they can go to work on the Keepstar without interference because their capitals will be able to get in, and then they can turn on the jammer to not let any more capitals in, which means they'll be able to go against the Keepstar with their super capitals, and the defenders of the Keepstar will have to use subcaps. And at that point, it would be pretty good odds that they could take down a Keepstar with those. But that won't happen for another 30 days or so, because it takes a while to build up the ADMs to 3. It takes 30 days. And I think that requires also activity in the area, and I believe there's...
No, it's not ADM.
No.
No, sir.
Oh, that's just military. Okay.
No, it's not military either. It's a different index called strategic.
And that's
And
the
that's
only
just
one
time.
that's the only one that's required for the jammers.
Yes.
Yeah, for the iHub
gotcha.
upgrade
Okay.
that drives the jammers, it's the strategic index only.
Got it. So
Yeah.
all they need to do is occupy it for 30 days, and then they get that.
Well, it has to. They have to keep the iHub, which is currently reinforced.
Good point.
If it, I don't know what happens if it pops and they put up a new one, and it pops and they put up a new one. I think it still counts until until a downtime where it's not, there's no iHub, or there's a different iHub. Then it breaks the strategic index progression.
So you
But I'm
can't
not
just
100% sure.
so you can't just destroy someone's iHub. You need to change to either neutral or their own iHub. Okay.
It's not quite known. There's not really been a situation where the iHub has died and the same alliance has put one up in the same day where the index was monitored. I believe it's tied to the iHub itself. I don't believe it's tied to the entity. So I think it needs to be held by one group. But I
Probably
say
true.
it's kind of not been explained or kind of ever tested because it's not ever had a situation where it's occurred, really.
But
But
it could
it
be a
has.
first.
This could be a first, and like I say it's a long time to hold the iHub in reinforcement. In defense, especially with the moment these iHubs are put down, they are pretty much reinforced on their next availability cycle. So it'll be an interesting thing to have this defense going on.
Okay, I got to wrap up, so we're going to need to get out of this. Just wanted to let you know. Let's do a quick recap, Sully. What's happened today?
So quick recap we've seen is PAPI had the Attacker Forces, PAPI Legacy, Fire, NC was there as well, and Winterco were all talked about with a stream from Pro God Legends about the final move from FAT. We had their Supers of Titans were already moved. The long way round, which is 15 jumps, which I don't envy anyone who never wants to do that. It was done. And we've since had 1,500 people on a defensive side of the 49 to 4-0 Stargate, whilst we've had capital ships trickling through that Stargate for the last couple of hours to make sure that any Goon Swarm or Imperium Dread bombs didn't have too juicy a target and were still able to move through. I have just got word that apparently a Test Alliance Dreadnought thought he was in the wrong system and warped to the Keepstar.
That's easy to do.
Yes, I don't believe he's lasted long enough to get away.
All right. Well, we'll have to leave it there. We'll have more coverage later on. This was a move up. There's no major combat going on here. That's what you're looking at. We'll give you more information today and on tomorrow's show on Sunday. Also, take a look later this afternoon. We will have a special look at the Abyss and some of the stuff going on there with a few guests. That'll be a special show later today. Until then, take care. We will see you next time.